Hello and welcome to the Embrace Your Destiny podcast. My name is Sandra Dawes and I'm your host. And if you're unfamiliar with the podcast or new to listening, the podcast is all about sharing the stories of women who have been through a challenging time in their life. They've made it through to the other side and are here to really share their story of the lessons they've learned from that experience and provide advice to somebody who may be going through something similar in their own life. And today, my guest is Stephanie Pastucha, and she is an inspirational speaker and life coach who empowers others to deal with the hardships they're facing, while inspiring them to move forward confidently and lead successful lives. Stephanie's own journey started after suffering third-degree burns from an accident that changed her life forever, propelling her towards her path of helping others change their lives for the better. She also offers one-on-one consulting for those who desire to get on the right path and achieve success in all areas of their lives. Stephanie has appeared on CNN, NBC, BBC, ABC News, and has made the cover of Global Women magazine. Stephanie has also interviewed Mel Gibson and shared the stage with other renowned celebrities like Mark Wahlberg, Simmons, and John Travolta in large-scale events reaching thousands. She currentently resides in Germany. So welcome, Stephanie.
Hi. Thank you, Sandra, for having me.
That's a pretty impressive bio with being on CNN and all those other networks. That's kind of cool. We'll have to see if that plays into the journey that you're going to share with us today. So why don't you start with telling us about what part of your journey you want to share today?
Yes. So, as you read my bio, you will get some insight what had happened to me. So, actually, I had many negative experiences in my life, but I think the most worst experience in my life was when I had my accident that happened to me when I was 16. Yeah, and when I suffered third-degree burns because it happened unexpected. And it changed my life forever. So I needed to start from scratch, and I needed to learn what does it mean to love myself and to regain my self-confidence. And that was really a hard time for me.
Yeah. So where did you suffer the burns?
So maybe I can go a little bit deeper in the story. So it happened when I was 16, and I wanted to go on vacation with my sisters to Italy. And we drove with the bus from Germany to Italy. And then I got out of the bus, and then suddenly I collapsed under the sun, and I fell on a hot floor, and the floor was hot, heated by the sun. And when I was laying on the floor, probably there were some hot metal plates that was heated by the sun. And then I suffered third-degree burns. And I needed to spend 5 days alone in Italy in the hospital. And my parents needed to pick me up in Italy and pick me up to Germany again. And it was, a really difficult time for me as I was a teenager and I didn't know how to handle it.
Right, to be alone in a strange country and then have to be hospitalized. Yeah, that can't be
being alone, 5 days alone. My sisters needed to go back on holiday. I mean, they weren't able to help me in the situation. So my mother needed to come there to pick me up. And I think in Italy it's a little bit funny, but I think in Italy they cannot speak the they cannot speak the English language very well. You know what I mean? So it was very, very difficult. And and of course with all this pain that you had, it was very, very painful and very hard time for me.
And then what was the healing process like, I guess, physically and emotionally?
So when I came back to Germany, it was very difficult because I needed to, I was actually in a wheelchair because the wounds were so, how can I say, they were fresh and they were very painful. So I wasn't able to walk at that time. So I was sitting in a wheelchair and then was laying in the bed. I just was able to lay on one side because just the left side of my body was burned the most. So the left shoulder, the left hip, and the left leg. So I wasn't able to sleep very well at night.
Right.
And then someone needed to come to me at home to heal my wounds. And actually it took, I think, maybe 1 or 2 years when it really was finished, the complete healing.
Physically.
Yes. Wow. Yeah, physically. So now I was in hospital again, that how can I say, to improve my scars then at the end of the healing, but that wasn't very good, and it just got me more and more pain, and there wasn't any improvement at all, unfortunately.
And that's got to be a hard time to be going through that kind of stuff, right? Because as a teenager, especially as a teenage girl, like, your physical appearance is so important to you at that age.
Really,
right?
Really it is. So, and I mean, I was 16, I was a teenager, as you said, it's the best time of your life. You want to go out, you want to make a party, you want to go, I don't know, you want to meet boys.
Wear short skirts and like summer outfits and
yes. So when the summer comes, you want to wear nice dresses, and it wasn't possible for me because I was I hated my body at this time, and I think everyone who knows, everybody who has this kind of scars at your body, it's very difficult to show up and be just you, because you think people will point the finger on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yes.
You're very self-conscious.
So, and I was hiding myself all the time because I wasn't able to show myself, and I was very, I felt uncomfortable in my own skin, and it took me a long time when I could wear dresses again, and that I love myself again.
Right, to feel comfortable.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So what kind of work did you have to do to get to that point where you did like build up that self-confidence and get comfortable in your own skin again?
So actually, when this accident happened, I didn't know at this time that would be such a difficult time in the future. You know what I'm saying? That I lose all my self-confidence, and that I had to rebuild my self-confidence again. So what I did at this time, a few years later, was that I found my passion in dancing. So I took some dancing classes, and so I was able to escape from that a little bit, and was able to forget about my scars and
focus on something else.
Yes. And also I was able to find another passion, like doing photos and doing some kind of modeling. And although I had these scars, it wasn't like a burden for me. I just wanted to do that because it was fun for me to do this. And at this time, I also had no therapist. I need to admit, because we were just overwhelmed by the situation, because if something happened like this, you just want to, feel comfortable in your skin. My parents wanted to be, how can I say? They wanted to, protect their child, and that there wasn't, they didn't think about that I need maybe a therapist at this time. So I needed to, learn from myself how to rebuild my confidence with seminars, with books, and also what I told you, with my dancing or with this modeling. So, and at this time it worked very well.
Interesting. So how did the modeling opportunity come up? Like, how did you get into it? How did that start?
by accident. So I was, I don't know, maybe around 18 then or 20. And really, I cannot say. It happened by accident. And then I started to have some photo projects, and I applied myself for some photo shootings. Yeah, and then it got more and more and more. And it was very, very fun, and I loved it. And today I'm in an agency still, and I have also some paid projects. So I'm still doing it, and it's not a problem for me anymore that I have these scars. You know what I mean? So I think what started with a hobby became, a job.
Right. You know, I would say, well, I just did a talk in the week about the fact that I believe everything happens for a reason. So you say coincidence, but I feel like it was meant to be, because it gave you the opportunity to share yourself in a way that you probably wouldn't have if you had the choice to do it on your own. Like that opportunity came for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Because it allowed you to build that confidence and do something that, you probably wouldn't have volunteered to do if that opportunity didn't present itself, because of being so self-conscious.
Yes, exactly. And you see, I mean, like and everything, or these both things like dancing and modeling, it's all about your body. You know what I mean? It's like, if you dance, you get stronger and you have more confidence. And with modeling, it's also presenting your body in another way. You know what I mean? And so it gave me really a good feeling in combination, you know?
Right. Stephanie, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned from this experience?
The biggest lesson. So, okay. When I think back, it was a little shock for me when this accident happened. But now when I watch my journey, I see that, how can I say, everything happens for a reason. And I'm grateful that this thing happened to my life, because, now I'm able, or I'm finally at this point where I love myself and I'm confident in life. And I think when this accident not happened, I don't know where I would be today. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's amazing how things that can seem so traumatic when you're going through them, when you take a step back, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, when you look back at that experience, you can be like, wow, okay, it was a really crappy thing that happened to me, but it happened for a reason, because if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't have been led to do A, B, or C, which wouldn't have brought me to where I am today, which is why I think that I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason. Because but I think that it takes time for you to realize that, because I think that when you're going through those challenging times, you don't have any concept of the fact that this could be happening for a positive reason. You're just going through it and thinking about the pain, whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, of what you're going through in that present moment, and that you can't imagine that something good could possibly come out of it. But I think that that reason, that silver lining to it, does reveal itself.
Yes, exactly. So now as we said again, everything happens for a reason in life. That it happens that to teach you something, you know what I mean? But I mean, at this point, you weren't able to see that. Yeah. But I want to, how can I say? There are many other things in life, whether if you lose your job or if you finish your relationship. Again, everything happens for a reason. And I say when when the one door closes, another door opens, and you need to be every time optimistic and faithful in life, and have that hope that everything will be better.
Yeah, and I think that that's often the challenge, though, isn't it? When you're going through a challenging time, is that you can feel so beaten up by what's happening to you that there is no concept of the fact that it could get better, because we don't see it. And I think that's where this whole idea of having faith is so important, because you have to believe in something without knowing how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. And I think that we can be so logically minded, where we think of, we have to know how it's going to happen and who's going to help us do it and that sort of thing, that when we don't know those things, it can be a bit more challenging to have that faith that it's all going to work out.
Of course. And the thing is, you don't know when it will happen and how it will happen, or how can I be faithful when I have such a difficult and challenging time. But I mean, trust me, I have everything. I have every challenge in my life, whether it's with a job, with a relationship, or even with this accident. And I think my biggest strength is that I have this optimism in life and this faith that I trust in situations or trust in life. You know what I mean? And I just want to say something to my accident in the past, because you asked me what I learned from this. For me, it was such a good thing that this happened to me, because when I look back and I ask myself, why did this happen to me? And today I'm 32, and I finally realized that maybe I am the person to teach others how to handle this kind of situation. Because when I was 16, I didn't have a role model or even like a person who showed me how to handle this,
Yeah.
And,
right, somebody who had actually been through something like that to help guide you.
Yeah, a person that you can look up to, because as I live in Germany, I have no one here in Germany, like maybe a public person who I can look up to, or who have the same experience. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, and for me, I'm already got in contact with a charity organization who's helping like children and teenagers who suffered also, who are burnt victims. And I got in contact with them to help them and to, how can I say, to be their role model. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That there is. Yeah, that the healing isn't just physical, that it's not just about the scars, but it's about how that affects your mental and emotional state. Yeah,
it's
right?
on the pain on the inside as well on the outside, right? And you need to have someone who helps you through this difficult situation.
Understands that. Yeah, because I mean, the reality is that we're in a time in our lives where physical appearances are so praised, right? Like they're so cherished. And so so it's so when those kinds of things happen, whether it's that you're a burn victim or something else happens and you've got physical evidence of it, you want to in a lot of cases hide, right? Because you don't want people to see those things, because you think that not only does it make you different, but it makes you possibly unattractive. So it is, the emotional aspect of it, I think, would be the biggest part, right? Because it's not just about the physical healing, but about reframing, what that means for your life moving forward, and redefining beauty too, I think, in a way.
Yeah, of course. So I think the most important thing here is the inner healing. What does it mean the wounds or the scars, they will heal by time, but you don't know what's going on the inside. What are they feeling? And I know so many people out there, they're hiding themselves and they do not want to, they're afraid to show up with their scars, because they're not confident within their body, or feeling uncomfortable in their body.
Yeah, which is such a shame, because when you don't have that confidence, it's such it's so debilitating, right? Because it prevents you from putting yourself out there and really living the life that you ought to be living, because you don't feel worthy because of that that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I don't have something to say. Is that you feel unworthy, not loved, and you're always seeking for approval on the outside, approval, acceptance, and yeah, because you're not able to love yourself. You think you're not enough, you know?
Yeah.
And whether you have scars or not, that's the biggest problem, I think, in society.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say that I think that that's, I think, a challenge for many of us, right? That feeling of not being enough. And I think, yeah, that the bar is, I think, raised in an unrealistic way, that we have this perception of perfection and that we're all striving to be perfect, whatever that means. And it's limiting us, this whole idea of perfection. I think especially in physical matters, like this, you know, having the perfect body. What does that look like? I'm not quite sure, but I think that we have to find a way to define beauty for ourselves and not try to hold ourselves up to a certain standard.
The most difficult thing today is that we are like, how can I say, manipulated from social media and in general media. If it's like all the models out there who've been photoshopped, and you think that's real. That's
right.
Yeah.
No, I think that that's part of it too, right? Is understanding that there's this illusion happening on social media where a lot of the things aren't as they appear to be, right? Because if you saw the Photoshop version of that photo and then you saw the raw picture, it would, I think that would be, and I've seen some campaigns where they've done that, shown the Photoshop photo and then contrasted it with the original photo, and you look
maybe
at
a different person,
almost altogether sometimes, right? And so it's it's an interesting world we're living in for sure. And I don't envy, especially young people growing up in this age of social media. I'm grateful that there was no social media at all when I was in high school, because I think that just adds another layer of complication to an already complicated time in our lives, especially as teenagers or even preteen. I think at this point now, I think a lot of the pressure is starting a lot younger as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think really for the teenagers, that's really a tough time, because they're all comparing themselves with the social media models or influencers, bloggers, and they all want to be, I don't know, like stars, and they do not know, they are not aware that it comes from within. You need to love yourself, and it's not everything from the outside or seeking approval on the outside, maybe on Instagram or Facebook.
Right, about likes and that kind of stuff. Exactly. It has to be a little bit more. Stephanie, what advice would you give to somebody going through something similar? So what do you say to the kids at the charity that are burn victims and are struggling with accepting their scars and dealing with the emotional?
So as I said, I want to repeat it again, that you have to stay optimistic and have hope and faith in life in general, and that you need to start within yourself, and you need to start accepting yourself, whether you have these scars or not. And that was my biggest challenge, to accept it and to love myself with the scars on my body. I need to accept myself, who I am with this, and that I'm perfect with this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that's such a big thing. And it's overall, right, is to just love yourself and accept yourself for who you are, and not feel like you have to be different to be loved or be accepted by others. And that it starts with,
I always say,
with yourself and doing that work.
You are perfect in the way, just who you are, whether you have scars or not. Just leave out the scars. You can have a big nose, big ears, I don't know. So it's whether you have some body, like challenges with your body in general, but you need to really love who you are. That's all. And if you cannot love yourself, who should love you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it all starts with you.
I have to repeat it again. So I see many people out there, if especially women, if they go to the doctor and doing their lips. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but if it looks unnatural, then it looks a little bit difficult. You know what I mean? Looks strange. And if I see other people out there,
Yeah.
especially women, I think you're maybe not happy within yourself, because then you would see that it doesn't look very good, and maybe you just want to have this approval from other people. Otherwise, you wouldn't do that kind of stuff,
Yeah, I think that when you see people who are almost addicted
Yes.
to the modifications, the procedures, it is because they're not happy with themselves. So they do these surgeries or these modifications, whatever they might be, and it's never enough, right? And I think that that's where it comes from, is that
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
that whole idea of never being enough. So you get the procedure done, you look in the mirror and you're still not happy, but it has nothing to do with the procedure or what you look like before the procedure. It's about the work. It's about what's going on in your head. And so until you
Really,
figure that stuff out, then it's never going to be good enough for you, right? And so I think, it's about really, again, like you said, self-acceptance and being able to look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, yes, I have things that I'm not happy with, but that's part of who I am. And I'm going to learn how to love my imperfections and be okay with them, because that's just how I am. And I mean, if you're doing the work on yourself and there's really something that's really bothering you and you feel like you need to get modifications done, whatever they might be, then go ahead and do that. But if you think that doing those modifications are the key to your happiness or your acceptance from others, then I think that you will constantly be disappointed.
Yes, exactly. That is the point. So I don't have something against like these surgeries. You can do that, as you said. Do it if you want to, improve your appearance. But if you do it constantly and you think really then it's never enough, then you really have a problem, because you will never be satisfied, because something is missing on the inside,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of times that, we have well-meaning friends and family who may tease us about, something, whether it's the ears, the nose, whatever, and it can make us really self-conscious. So I think that a lot of times we're so tired of hearing those criticisms that may be, jokes that we're taking too seriously or that kind of stuff. And so we're doing it for the wrong reasons, because we're not even doing it for ourselves. We're doing it because other people are finding fault with it for whatever reason. I think that oftentimes when we do that, when we tease people about things, it's because we have our own insecurities that we haven't dealt with. So it's like, well, I feel bad about the size of my bum, so I'm going to tease you about the size of your ears. Like, you know what I mean? But I think that a lot of times we're just projecting our own insecurities on people. And I think that if we all spent more time working on ourselves and figuring out a way to accept ourselves, we wouldn't be so worried about other people.
Yes, exactly. So, and I mean, again, if you want to do something, I mean, if your friend is telling you have a big nose, I mean, how can I say that's not your friend? I mean, don't hear at them, no. Or how can I say?
Yeah, you don't have to take that seriously. And I think that, and I was saying that in another interview just a while back, is that I love the Wayne Dyer quote that other people's opinions of you are none of your business. And I think that it's so true that we can't worry about what other people think about us, because we have no control over that. So we have to just sort of let that go and know that just because somebody thinks that I need to fix something about myself doesn't mean I have to fix something about myself, because as long as I'm okay with me and I love and accept myself, then whatever anybody else is thinking about me is is their problem, not mine.
Yeah. And, the people easily getting triggered by other people, like if someone is telling you, what kind of clothes are you wearing today? It doesn't look good. What kind of shoes are you wearing? Or you have, I don't know, you have a big nose or you have big ears, and you really get easily triggered by it. And then maybe at the end of the day, you're looking in the mirror and asking yourself, I'm not.
Maybe they're right.
Yeah, I'm not a good person. Maybe I should. Yeah, you get a lot of self-doubt.
Yes.
And to reach this high level of self-confidence, it take really not a long time, but it takes time. It doesn't come overnight.
It takes work. Yeah. No, because I think that those issues, the low self-esteem, low self-confidence, those things didn't happen overnight either. So I think that we have to, be patient with ourselves and know that, it's a process, but as long as we're committed to learning and doing better to improve our lives so that we can create the life that we want for ourselves, then it will come.
Yes.
But you just have to be patient with the process.
And of course, I would say you need to be aware of that if you, maybe that your self-confidence isn't maybe not at that point where you want to be, it's like be aware of it and then change it, or, do the inner work.
Yeah. But because I don't think anything can happen until you do that inner work. That's where it really starts to make a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Stephanie, any final thoughts? Anything else you'd like to share?
Oh, actually, love yourself and accept your body. That's the most important thing in life.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to end it off, actually. Love yourself and love your body. Yeah, just be you and love yourself for who you are. Mm-hmm. Really.
Exactly.
Yeah. Stephanie, thank you so much for your time and for doing the interview with me and sharing your journey. For those of you who are listening in your car or at the gym or walking your dog, you can go back to the show notes later and find links to Stephanie's website and social media links so you can learn more about her and what she does. And again, thank you so much for your time, Stephanie. And to the listeners, I will see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.